Sorry. And we are live. Welcome to Beyond the Pendulum. This is episode 12.
I I haven't seen much of anything. It's been, sheesh, it's been months, I would think.
So, oh God, God, I totally was muting myself again. Anyway, so like what was going on was these the what is it, OWASP or whatever had changed their logo to put a UFO on there, and they also have a oh God, my kid's screaming again. They have the some sort of like triangle ship or something on there, and that is an official Army logo or military logo. That is something that is big. And what else do we have that was going on? Oh, NASA declared that they would donate, that they would openly declare that they are open to investigating UFO phenomenon. Um, the Pentagon is now poo-pooing all of these leaks that are coming out. I kind of got the deal what was going on, but I don't completely understand it when I put all the pieces together in my head. It's kind of hard to figure out what is going on. But I did have to dig and do some research about why there's like these I call it pussyfooting. You know, they have their toe halfway in, halfway out with the government releasing all of this stuff that they were, all of this new shit that we were supposed to or all of this stuff that was supposed to happen this year. Besides, okay, one thing we do know for sure, right, and this is beyond a doubt, a fathom of a doubt, that UFOs are real. That's hands down. Like there are no ifs, ands, or buts. There's enough data out there to say that as a fact. B, we don't know what the fuck or where the hell they're coming from or why they are here. Am I losing you guys?
You're into the tinfoil hat conspiracy theory of the UFO narrative. Well, yeah, you always have the Middle Age art with UFOs. Guys pointing to a UFO in a picture. I mean, there's been sightings for like 1,000 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Major battles. You see stuff like that. I don't know. It is strange. But you have all these military sightings as well. I mean, well documented ones.
Yeah, so that is what has been changing. So after like Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp and all those guys had released all of these UFO videos that were backed up, that were leaks coming from the Navy and mainly the U.S. Navy. the some of the top brass got pissed and said that, you know, anything that is UFO is automatic. Anything that is unidentifiable threat or some shit, they said, would now be deemed automatically top secret classification. But as of what had happened, I think it was last year or this year. Or, what, it was either this year or last year. No, this year. When the Congress had basically spelled it out that that the United States military needs to stop, dicking around. Okay, this is a real problem, and that they will be criminally charged if they're withholding any information regarding to UFO UAPs. In fact, so much that they have a new law that goes into effect this year that if anybody spills the beans on any illegal project that was going on in the military, they would not face any sort of legal consequence whatsoever. No losing rank. You will not be ostracized. You will not go to prison. You will not go to jail because of previous illegal NDAs that were going on. And I find it funny because last month the Pentagon, and I was making a joke of it, or the Department of Defense budget was their audit was in the, what did they go? They couldn't account for where all their money was going. And this would be the audit number 5 in 5 years where they've had unaccounted money disappearing, and a lot of it we don't think is going towards corruption at the people. Let's just say people aren't exactly stealing this money. A lot of it's going to R&D and the weird projects that shouldn't exactly. I don't know. Maybe they should be public knowledge.
Well, you can't. It has to be. You can't have a secret government. I mean, you're just asking for trouble. I mean, that's like the CIA and their black budget. They never admit to how much money they get or what they're doing. Or
that's kind of where Congress is at. They're like, we make your budget, okay? We we make up the rules. You guys don't make up the rules. You guys are not an elite class. That's the only kind of like middle finger we got to like cracking this door open. Besides, we have some pretty good journalists out in the field who are knowing guys on the inside, and that's something that's never really happened in the United States.
Well, no, the media here is more pathetic than ever. I mean, I've never heard such like just straight out of CIA government, crap narratives. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah. I still do see the old the secret program, or the government saying one thing and then another branch doing the psyop shit, and I'm not saying it's like at a grandiose level. It's at a level to the point where the average Joe Schmo who is questioning whether this subject is real is like, there's so much bullshit, it's got to be bullshit, I do see some of that going around, and there are so now that we do have verified, that our own military knows that this stuff has been going on. There's been quite a few, from what I've heard. I haven't actually verified this stuff, but I've heard it from a lot of people on Reddit and the UFO community, that the DoD has been going around to like these web archive places and trying to get stuff removed because they're going back on what they had said, where they haven't been actively investigating this stuff when they have, and there's a lot of things that are going on, and this is why Congress hasn't pissed, is because yes, this might be a threat to humanity on some level. We have these things that are flying around at like the speed of light, or just disappearing and fading in, going up and down in the water, and there's not a whole lot of information coming around from people who are supposed to protect us. Withholding information is not protecting us. It's just not the way you do shit.
You know, like what gets me, like in COVID, you never saw the church speak out or the royals speak out. In fact, what you saw was all these groups pretty much in lockstep. Telling you, locking you down, closing their doors. I mean, it really is unprecedented. I don't even know what to call it. It's some kind of mass psychosis.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember I bought into it too. I was thinking, it's. I think this is something that they've got is that they're really good at the propaganda. They're really good at making people believe some crazy shit. They're right. Everybody else is wrong. Change the data. And if you say something they don't agree with, now we know because of what was going on with the. I'm not really watching all that Twitter file shit, but now we know that if you are somebody on social media, not just Twitter, and this is something we've been saying as activists, well, in our other show for a long time when we were way more into that, they will shut you up online. And it was coming around from top branches of the United States government. We're talking, the FBI, trying to get accounts nuked online. So like, it's basically, we got to stop letting these guys who basically, they call them like they're basically gangsters, right? Like that's the way I see the government. They're just there to give you some false sense of freedom, take all your money for some weird reason, and give you almost nothing, penalize you if you don't fall in line, lie to us for years, and hope you go along with it.
And
Sounds like a slave.
they just, if they get caught in a lie, they just keep lying. You can never keep up with their lies. These motherfuckers can lie faster than you can try to unravel it. Not that making, trying to make a case to any of these peons out there in the world works anyway, because most folks don't have a IQ high enough. When you're trying to appeal to their intelligence, so you're really backed into a corner.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're trying to get the word out, it's just it's tough.
In a crazy world, and I might get some flack for this. We might have some super hardcore Christians, but with all the shit that's going on in the world, people were in America where we're more caught up with abortion than like I'm like, dude, like there are bigger and worse things going on in the world than you worrying about some babies. Like that's kind of where we're at. People have their priorities wrong, and I don't know. It's like it's like the more I delve myself into this field, and I've been doing it for a long time, and only up until recently, the more I'm seeing through all the bullshit, and not becoming woke. I'm not becoming this. I'm actually seeing that even people who call themselves woke are believing institutional lies at its core. You really have to make your own decisions, do your own research. And when I say research, I mean, you really need to dig because there's a lot of bullshit, especially in this field. Find some truth, but lately there's been a lot more validity coming out than anything else. I don't know.
No, well, it's the trouble is, like, say with the babies, it's like if you allow abortion, it's the way government operates. Like if you say, okay, I'm okay with abortion, well, then next thing you know, they're trying to euthanize you and take it to the next level. It's just like there's always this mission creep with government of what you let them do. Once they start, it's just like it never ends. They'll keep giving themselves more authority.
Oh yeah, 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 For real. Like, and now you can't see the C word online, and you can't, you can't, you can't talk people. You can't talk about certain subjects even online because it's socially taboo, and you can't express what the hell you even want like anymore. Like I can't even say the ex president's name and the current president's name without getting my head bashed in by both by somebody on the street. We have reemergence of Nazis, in the United States, which really baffled me. I never saw that one coming. The world is going absolutely fucking backwards at a time when I don't know. Maybe it's only the intelligent ones will survive. Maybe what's his name had it right. I don't know. What was it? Who was it?
Dragged out.
Darwin. Yeah, Darwin. Yeah, maybe Darwin had it right. Maybe the only.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you a better chance, but I mean, if it really goes bad, which it looks like it is.
Well, yeah, humanity. I'm not saying the United States is like the only country that is going through all this bullshit. We have the Chinese going through their bullshit. Europe's going through their bullshit right now. Africa's going through their bullshit. South America's going through their bullshit. Like the world is kind of like a fucked up place, and like there really isn't one corner of the world that's just kind of like picturesque, kind of perfect. And we're dealing, you know, 2 years post the C word, and I can't even say without getting my YouTube channel taken. What I'm just saying is that like.
Okay, let's just establish that this is not reality. Because if it was reality, you could say whatever you want. It'd be no big deal because you're not trying to say anything that radical anyway. Yeah.
No,
What's the big deal? It's like, why the suppression of real information? That's where you're at now. Is like some of this FBI and other government operations was, directed at information that was the truth. Okay, well, what is the problem with the truth?
And that's the thing that I'm getting at. Some of this.
What does the government have? Yeah, why does the government have this position that the truth is not something that's okay anymore? It's really whacked out.
Yeah, and that baffled me. And some of what has been going on, and this baffled me. And this is not every branch of the military, because trust me that it's not as clean cut when it comes to regarding this subject as ufology and UAP, paranormal, all that shit. Is that there is not just one branch of the government having one program. There are many branches in different branches. There are many different programs going on within all of the different branches of the government. And this is the part that's like that. This is the part that baffled me, is that some of the branches were actually less interested that they had caught unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP or UAV, unidentified aerial vehicle, which now they have been labeling some of them as drone technology. They believe some of this is unmanned. They are more interested on some of the other stuff that is going on, like maybe it's like, is it being filmed in a secret base? Is it just using secret optics that we're not supposed to be having? Is this some sort of, it's like, that really just baffled me. Like some of the branches of the governments can give two shits less that they caught a UFO. They care more about the forward, what is it, FLIR, forward something infrared, the optics. That just really fucking stumped me.
Well, there's so. I think what it is there's a group that takes all these things. The official government position is going to be to deny any of it and deny it happened. But internally, there's a group that is very concerned and is picking every one of these pieces of equipment up, whatever they are, if it's our stuff or something outside, and saving it, keeping it, looking at it. And of course, they're not telling anybody, but That's the way you operate this way.
Yeah, and
You have something to hide. It's just, the truth's a problem. This is the kind of government you're facing right now.
well, like the whole Bob Lazar and video is coming out back in the 20 was it 2016, and more of his story coming out and verifying more avenues of what he said that I was unaware that when Bob had said the story, I knew there were 9 craft that he had said that were there, but what had baffled me and something I didn't pick up, and this is going to stump some of you, is that some of these craft that they have recovered aren't from crashes or whatever. Like at least one of them that we've recovered came from an archaeological dig. That's what baffles me, which I hate to say this, maybe Stitchin was right. These chariots.
Yeah, Sitchin has gone under. He's. I think over the years he had more and more scrutiny. I think there was some misinterpretations or his purposeful misinterpretations of some of the text that he had done. I've never chased him down after all that to really see where it ended up. But there was a lot of controversy around that guy for a while.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that but he's not the only guy that's been saying that kind of stuff, and it's not the only that isn't the only neck of the woods where people were describing such things in those kind of ancient times. So they weren't the only civilization we know now that we're living at that time.
Yeah, for me, more of an engineering background. What's always gotten me, and the the thing that is hardest to explain is those large stones, like at the base of the Temple Mound, and what's that place in Lebanon, Baalbek, or but those like 1,200 and 1,500 ton stones that we can't even move today.
Yeah.
There was something going on. Those are clues to something that's going on that you really can't explain, or how they were able to do that,
And
and they just don't talk about it. It's like,
yeah,
well,
and
how did these supposed ancients, pull that shit off?
there's I
I've
think
seen several videos of people moving stones with didgeridoos, just maintaining a certain frequency of sound. And the theory behind that is if you got 1,000 slaves there with your instruments blowing at that frequency, it's going to levitate something bigger.
well, we could also play the devil's advocate. What if we exchanged precious metals for technology? Like anti-gravity, or how should I say? What do they call these things? Gravity propelled drives. You wouldn't have to worry about how much of the oscillation you have. You're actually distorting space to lift heavy objects. So let's just. Or am I the only one that's way more familiar with like the whole Bob Lazar and the ship and the kind of weird shit that they supposedly using on these aircraft?
Well, yeah, he's another one that, for all his physics and for what he says, I've never seen like a great physics explanation for how he says it's like he says like they're designed this way, but at the same time, it's like, well, how do you get the physics that we know to pull that off? You know,
See, that's
he,
that's the thing is we don't completely understand what is going on. But the weird thing about Bob Lazar, and I've heard this many times over the year, stuff that he would talked about 30 years that we didn't know. He's batting 100%. He said that gravity waves are a wave, and people at that time in the late 80s thought that gravity was created by a graviton, which was a particle, and that turned out to be completely wrong. We discovered that actually quite recently from the laser experiments that they have, which are the gravity wave detectors that they've been doing when neutron stars and black holes come and they collide. They create gravitational distortions, which are waves. And he knew about an element that we don't under that we can't we don't that wasn't even invented until 2013. I mean, there's like a whole bunch of weird stuff that came out about his story that just lines up. Like, how the hell would he have known, for 3 weekends in a row where they were going to be testing this craft and had videos of it? I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's
He also knew
the thing
about.
is, it seems like to me we haven't had, the UFO stories that have been out there are almost becoming ancient. It doesn't seem like there's any recent, and I'm talking like say the last 20 or 30 years. Uh, Initially, like when I was growing up, 70s, 80s. I mean, there was all kinds of UFO stories. You had the Roswell stuff. I mean, it was all the time, and you haven't heard anything really big in decades now. It's just like the
Yeah,
rehashing of the old. We're bringing up Bob Lazar. Well, man, that shit's like what 30 years old or more now. I mean, it's just it, it's plateaued, or something's happened. Now it's just like, or either it just lost its newsworthiness, but it's just, you just don't see much anymore here. And even if the government's like, oh yeah, we're going to tell you about the UFOs, and everybody's like, oh yeah, so what? It's like X Files. The news has been out there, and they've greased the wheels, of that one for so long. It's like people would be okay, if a ship did show up and a bunch of aliens came out. I don't think it really shock anybody.
yeah. They'd be like, can I just go to McDonald's and be on my way? Like,
Yeah, and you know how we are. We'd have to let them in, right? I mean, even though there'd be like who knows how many of them, from
they'd
who
have to
knows
wear a
where.
mask.
Yeah, we'd all have to wear a mask. Well, maybe they wouldn't because they came in illegally, so it'd be all right.
Yeah, they'd be illegal aliens. uh, I don't know. I don't know. I think the one there have been quite a few, at least in the last 5 years, that we've been realizing that the military has been catching these things quite more frequently now with these um much more sophisticated targeting systems that we have. I've even heard by some pilots in the military that we're catching these things on a daily basis. But the trickle down effect, coming down to the civilians, are not where it should be. But these things are seen quite regularly in our skies. One that's been around and not spoken of too much, other than through the military pilots, is the circle in the cube thing, like they call it the jellyfish UFO. These semi almost see through devices, no bigger than a basketball with a cube in the middle of it, floating around in our skies. I believe they were called Foo Fighters at the in World War II. But those are actually seen quite regularly in our skies, especially over in the where is it? Over by my neck of the woods, Catalina.
Yeah, they're well, you got a lot of Air Force bases out there,
Yeah.
abandoned and everything.
And plus, we're also learning a lot more that these things are not only in our skies; they're in our oceans.
Yep.
I was listening to an ex-cop last week called "The Missing." Have you ever read the Missing 411 books?
No.
Never
No.
heard of it. So there's been a lot of weird disappearances where there's been, especially in the national parks in the central part of the United States, and this guy was an ex-cop, and I guess in his latest book that he was actually coinciding that a lot of these data points of mysterious ways these people disappear or where they reappear after being lost with no memory is that that the same areas that not necessarily the same day but have notorious UFO sightings at some point in these same areas, where people just go missing and never seen from again. So maybe ET doesn't want us to come back home. They take us and they eat us for dinner or something.
That's one option. Yeah, yeah. Well, they seem, years ago, it's like they used to, like they were poking on us and doing, like a
Anal probe.
not an autopsy, but like taking samples, and you had all those abduction events, and I haven't. That's one thing that seems to have dropped off to me. I don't hear that story much anymore.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't hear how that was big in the '90s though. Big in the
Yeah,
'90s.
it started in the '60s, and it ran about 20 years. I'd say maybe a little longer, and then it's kind of died off.
I mean, yeah, I've listened to some people that do have the physical evidence, the weird implants in their bodies and radiation burns. There are some people that have real physical evidence, but there's a lot of people that I'm just like, I think that's what always pisses me off about some of these abduction stories. Is some of them are just mental nutcases. There's a lot of mental illness going on, more so than there are true stories in that whole abduction field.
Yeah, that'd be a hard one. That's to discern between, especially if there's very few witnesses. It's what's real and not real.
Or you have missing memory. I mean, unless you got like an artifact, that it doesn't have earthly origins. If you have, detectable radiation, uh, higher than background radiation going on, and you don't live in any area where there's any, heavy metals. Um, there might be some belief of something that we can verify, but a lot of these guys is just they say it happened because they have a memory that said it happened. Well, that doesn't. I know that might speak volumes into some people's ears, but for me that doesn't mean anything. There's a lot of people who believe their lies.
That is
Uh,
true. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's always, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. That's just all there is to it. If you're gonna,
exactly. Yeah. If you're
uh,
if you're gonna say something,
there's
prove
no
it.
other solution. You got to have some kind of physical evidence, or collaboration, or witnesses. You got to have something.
Where do we go? This was big. So apparently, okay. So Biden. I don't know why this didn't make U.S. news. I only heard about this in international news. Nothing in the local, unless you dug into the Congress papers. So apparently, the Pentagon was ordered to reinvestigate the 1945 crash of an avocado-shaped UFO at Roswell. Um, and there was some bullshit about what was going on. So like these like shitheads had changed the date or something like on the Roswell stuff, so they couldn't find the right documents. They should change it from like 47 to 45 or some shit, saying they didn't have any like documents on Roswell, and apparently this is becoming a big thing. And there was like another crash that happened at Roswell that did have some physical evidence, and this kid and his family like kept all this shit um, uh, to themselves for God 50, 60 years. And now what is the actual fucking name of this bill? And where is it? 'Cause I don't want to just talk bullshit in the stream nasal thing going on right now. It says President Biden orders to report detailing U.S. historical record of unidentified anomalous phenomenon since 1945. The NDAA Act, National Defense something something bill, Act of 2023, Section 6802. I dug on online searches. I couldn't find a 6802. That might be a typo. But the guy who wrote this is a pretty famous UFO reporter. He's not known for pumping out bullshit. Um, so that's happening. I don't expect our our government to open up next year's saying that we have ET and he wants to go home. He likes to eat bubblegum ice cream and we've been keeping him in a fridge for the last 40 years. I don't know. I really don't know what the future lies in hold for UFO UAP stuff. If things are going the way they are going, in the future there might be bigger and better disclosures, but there's a lot of red tape to get there. We only cracked open the door a little bit to what is actually out there.
Yeah, I'd have to say my fear, because I understand how this government works, is that, and how willing they are to sell out their population, is that they would sell us as slaves to the aliens.
Oh yeah, I believe that. I totally believe that.
I really think they would do that to you. If it meant them being like, a king over a region, or taking over something, so they could rule it all. I mean, I think they do that.
Maybe that's why they've been quiet and covering it up for so many years. I'm just saying. They came across 9 craft. Only one of them came from an archaeological dig. That'll flip your lid. Yeah, I really wish Mark was here today. God, you had another.
It's going to take some kind of alt media event. I mean, it's like, the government's in a better position. Like if some craft does come in, or they're going to know where it's going to land. They're going to have their teams ready. You notice how these guys seem to pop out of nowhere. I mean, they got teams all over the place. So if something comes in, they can get there in like 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's going to have to be, some event where, like, alt media people, or a bunch of people with phones, or where a lot of people see it. Well, like the Phoenix Lights, something like that, where the whole fucking city sees it, and
Oh,
then
yeah, that was crazy because they managed to keep that shit fucking secret for like 2 months. That was crazy. Well, I mean nationwide, but that still baffles me. The whole city sees it.
yeah, that's one of the biggest UFO events. I want to say they're categorizing it like since Fatima. I mean, it goes back a ways. It's the friggin' 911 system got like 10 to 15,000 calls about it. It's like, so I mean, a lot of people saw it, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, for 100%. They saw a UFO and they said it was the size of 2 football fields. I remember the Pentagon later saying that they had guys that were uh, what are they? What do you say? They were skydiving with flares on.
Oh yeah, or they were doing some drills at the base. Well, yeah, no, I mean that was all true. All those flares you saw, because the jets were chasing the thing because it went over a damn Air Force base
Huh?
in one of their areas. Not that they could do anything about it, but so it's like, yeah, okay, you had your jets out there doing their thing, and that's what you saw. Well, yeah, we saw the jets, but what was that other thing you saw?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, with your half bullshit stories, it's like, see, that's when you know they're full of shit. When you got that many people see something, and you get the same bullshit story, it, that tells you all you need to know. Just the empire of lies, getting straight information. you can't talk about real information. You can't talk about truths, but you can certainly lie and so forth.
That's the thing I can't understand about people is that like they get so into politics and they're like, yeah, I'm a Republican, yeah, I'm a Libertarian. You're like, or then you're like, no, I'm a Green Party or Boston Tea Party, and then I'm a Red, and I'm a MAGA shit, and then I'm like thinking like, you know, what this is all form of fucking control, and these guys have been lying to you for a very long time, and like, why do you think that some sort of political party is going to change because there's doesn't matter who's up there. You're going to end up with the same goddamn bullshit.
Yeah, and the population is really bad at reading people and their psychology. Donald Trump is a
Exactly.
prime example of that. I mean, there you go with a flaming narcissist. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and everybody just loves the guy. It's a
And
cult personality.
Biden's not any better.
Man, you didn't see that one coming. And then here, with Sleepy Joe. I mean, he's another one. It's just in a different way. He's very authoritarian. That's what's in common with all with these psychopaths. They'll have different traits and little different flavors of it all. But at the end of the day, they want you to do whatever they're telling you to do.
Oh yeah, they,
That's what you need to do. It's about control. It's about controlling the narrative. It's about, and even if you're not really in control, like this whole UFO thing, that bothers them because, hey, if we can't control what's going on, we look like fools. Well, they really are anyway, and everybody knows it except for them. But they intrinsically know. It's like, wait a minute, if we don't put out bullshit about that and make ourselves, look better, it's like we can't explain that, and well, then we don't look as big as we're trying to act,
yeah.
and their whole narrative just goes to hell. So they have to claim to be in control of the UFO narrative, and that's why you only get little bits and pieces because. As a peon slave, you're even lower than they are, so you're lucky to even get any information.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's all going to, even if there is good information out there, you're going to have to read it through that filter of a bunch of psychopaths trying to manipulate the narrative that you need to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, I just can't believe like how much like it was almost as bad as like the whole shit that was going on with like COVID during Trump, and now we're dealing with the Hunter laptop, and they tried covering that shit up, and I was saying that for like 2 years, like when I knew about that stuff that was going on, and I told my dad because like my dad's like he's totally buying into that red hat shit, and I was just like, Dad, like. They've been talking about this kid's laptop, and he goes, yeah, I know, and he goes, I bet you anything, it's a fucking CIA, the CIA goon boys fucking trying to cover somebody's fucking sloppy mess with some crack whores. He's like, yeah, I mean, that shit really goes down, like, that's the kind of country you fucking live in.
Yeah, then you got a guy like Hunter that, I mean, he wants to be so open about it. He just wants to brag and like leaves his laptop everywhere. He leaves all the evidence right there so that you find out what he's doing. He wants to be seen. He wants to be heard. Yeah, he wants to be cutting edge. But then you only get to see and know about it. You don't really, get to do anything about it except listen to the bullshit about, going to investigate, and it's like, but nothing ever happens. You just get to know about it, but you don't get to do anything about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a whole lot that you can do other than go around through his financial records to see if he violated any sort of fucking federal law, which he probably did.
Yeah, that's a given. I mean, no, where they all, according to the Constitution, they should all be marched to the nearest intersection and hung for everybody to see at the nearest intersection. Well, okay, after a good trial and everything. I mean, we'll do it the right way, but that's where they're going. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of them. I mean, you're talking.
Remember Trump said he's
Long
draining this.
list. I mean,
Remember he
it's
said Trump was draining the swamp during that shit, and I said, everybody needs to go down that toilet. Everybody. You know what's worse than politicians, and this is the unspoken truth about American politics. Lobbyists. Lobbyists are the worst.
well, yeah,
The fact that you
lobbying's a
could.
hard one because you have to have access to your politicians. Now, where I differ there is, it's not the lobbyists that are a problem. It's shitbag politicians that accept their money that are
Oh yeah,
it's
completely
okay to take
legal.
their money and access and everything, but when it goes against the law of the country, you can't vote for these assholes, right? I mean, you're supposed to be strong enough to do that, but they can't because they're weak assholes. And I mean, in today's world, they're really weak. I
Yeah.
mean, look at the party that I try to support. These fucking Republicans. They can't even get their shit together to get a fucking speaker, man. I mean, what the hell? That just proves what I've been saying about them for years. It's like you guys got to, trying to help people out here. You got to get your shit together, and then they look at you like something's wrong.
And the left is
So
flipping out over
and here
everything
you get
left and right.
just yeah, it's like you people have your head up your ass. You can't even get a fucking speaker.
Surprise.
While the enemy's eating popcorn over there laughing at you because you can't even take the first step to get your shit together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that bad, man.
It's nothing gets done because everybody's so dysfunctional. It's like having a bunch of mentally slow people. Put them all in a room and give them power and tell them all to like do something. They're all fucking doing different shit. Nobody gets along. Maybe one or two get along. The other one's fucking chasing butterflies, fucking lighting a fire. Like none of the shit they do makes any sense.
Yeah, they're all playing their power angles, you know, trying to come up with the best angle and everything. Not that they believe any of it. It's just an angle to play for favors and whatnot. With all these narcissists. So you're actually, you tell me, you're asking a group of narcissists to work together.
Yeah,
Is that ever going to work? I mean, is that even possible?
I don't think so.
So they have to dole out favors. They have to, buy them off with committees and rules and all this bullshit, man. I mean, it's just disgusting. But hey, couldn't you be like the Democrats and do all that in some smoky back room? Because they can get it all together over there. They're
No, they
supposed to
can't.
be the whack jobs who don't know what they're doing, but they can get that much together. They can get on the same team. They can do what they need to do to ram shit down your throat. So what's your problem?
I don't know.
It's wild, dude. But then I look at other countries and I go, oh my God,
It's not as bad.
like
Yeah, it
like the
can be
Netherlands.
worse.
I don't want to badmouth any countries because the guy's not here to defend himself. But the Netherlands is pretty messed up.
What's going on right now? Yeah, in their own country. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all getting a little bit of different things. But
I
I mean, when you're shutting down farmers and and your exports,
my,
that's
my
pretty
biggest
bad.
my biggest thing is that like why am I dealing with inflated prices for everything every fucking week? Like nothing's the same fucking price.
Oh no, man. I mean, and it's not 8% or 20%, man. I'm hitting doubles on things.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
going for a fucking water heater that used to be $280, it's over $500 now.
Yeah.
That's
Have you
not
looked at
8%.
have you looked into Raspberry Pis or any kind of like computer parts like some of it's doubled in price like because there's no fucking chips and they know that you can't and that problem won't be fixed until like summer of this year. So everybody's jacking up prices for almost everything that it's tech based.
Yeah, is this all just is it just make believe? Are these guys that own these companies just doing this on purpose because they know they can hijack the market right now? I mean, is that what it really is?
I think so. I think so.
You know, it's
Fortunately, that might be the case.
I tell you what, dude, going out to eat or the food and everything, it's like, man.
Oh,
And this is like you're allegedly
quality's got.
hearing about it. Now this is a year now. They're saying year on year, 9%. You know, it's like, well, I don't know. You know, last year it's like that motherfucker, it went up immediately. You know, and it wasn't. And then here you are a year later. Okay, it hasn't really gone anywhere, but you know,
Yeah,
in a
like
year. But you know, come on, and it's like,
everything is getting more expensive. Like the fucking, uh, especially food and groceries. It's like so fucking ridiculous. Like I don't get it. There's like not a shortage of fucking food, and like the food quality's getting worse too. You know, like I don't understand that shit. It's like there's not a shortage of fucking farms. There's not a shortage of fucking. There's not a fucking shortage of fuel. It's everybody's just jacking up the price because they can. Like it's a fucking fiesta. You know. It's actually kind of pathetic to be honest. All of these are man-made problems.
And it's been like that for decades and longer.
It just yeah, shit's is hitting the fan every morning. There's only get to a point where like people take so much, but honestly, it takes a lot for an American for some weird reason to shit to hit the fan. I don't know what it is.
yeah, and then the spark hits at weird moments that you're not really expecting. You know, it's like, yeah, that's what gets me. So, you don't see like a big, lead up to anything, and
Oh
it
yeah,
just kind of happens. And
I thought
either
that
good,
Roe v. I thought the Roe v. Wade thing was kind of like out of the blue. That one was out of the blue for me.
well, I tell you what, a lot now this with this debt, because when Clinton left office in 2000, our national debt was around 2.5 or 3 trillion. In 20 friggin' years, we've added up like $30 trillion. So this massive explosion has really only happened in the last 20 years.
Yeah,
Ever since
for more
fucking
reason.
Bush and all that nonsense, and then the rest of them, they've just given up on it. It's like, I mean, it makes the old deficits like, oh man, it was 100 billion a year or something. Hey man, that'd be nice, when you're talking trillions now. I mean, it's just totally out of line.
Crazy, crazy world we live in. All right, guys, I got another few more minutes. I was only going to make it go for an hour. I originally was going to go for an hour and a half, but I feel like garbage 'cause I'm a little sick. Um, anything I didn't cover that you guys want to talk about?
Now, we deviated slightly into politics.
Well, that happens, Unfortunately, it's more than anything.
No, are there any like big UFO conferences or anything coming up? I mean, I don't even.
I think Alien Con, but that's not till like the summer or something. But no, not a whole lot. Unfortunately, like the real UFO community is like really, really, really kind of underground, and I had to learn that the hard way. The more I'm digging my heels into here, yeah, there are names, there are people, there are accounts you can follow on certain social media things, but you really want to get the lowdown and juicy. You really gotta low down, and you got to get off of these social media sites, and you really got to dig in forums.
Yeah, I think like the UFO crowd, it seems like it's gotten smaller over the years.
It has, it definitely has. 100%. Let's see if Mark's in the chat room real quick. Hi, Harry 51. All right, so we'll be back next time, next week, same time, same place. Around 7 o'clock Pacific time. I'll probably do an hour and a half show. Just like, hopefully this isn't the flu. And we'll be back next Thursday. And with that, we'll roll out.